Ed Miliband will make a speech quite shortly, actually, arguing that the challenge is to make Britain a fairer country when there is no money to spend.
My speech today is about values, to demonstrate once and for all that the Labour Party is a party for all times, not just the good times. A lot of people will hear me talk about values and say, welcome to the real world. Values cost money, but right now, the government just doesn't have money to spend. A lot of people say, these are tough times. It's easy to talk about fairness, but how are you going to achieve it when there's less money around? This is not a conventional economic crisis of the kind Britain has had to deal with in the recent past. This is a debt crisis. Deficit reduction and growth, they are not alternatives. Delivering the first is absolutely vital in securing the second. Now, Britain cannot cut itself off from what happens elsewhere. As our biggest trading partner, the problems in the Eurozone are affecting Britain too. Look across the country at Honda in Swindon, Jaguar Land Rover in the West Midlands, Toyota in Derby, Nissan in Sunderland. Britain's car industry is growing. And it's not just our car industry that is strong. Life sciences, pharmaceuticals, information technology, aerospace, the creative industries. Now, I cannot predict how this crisis will end for others. And I cannot pretend that Britain will be immune from the consequences either. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you for coming here. I'm sure you'd rather be watching day 10 of the Olympics, but since there's been a fair amount of press speculation about the fate of the House of Lords Reform Bill, I thought I should set out what has happened and what will happen from now. As you know, an elected House of Lords was part of the coalition agreement, a fundamental part of the contract that keeps the coalition parties working together in the national interest. My party is held to that contract, even when it meant voting for things that we found difficult. The Liberal Democrats are proving ourselves to be a mature and competent party of government, and I am proud that we have met our obligations. Coalition works on mutual respect. It is a reciprocal arrangement, a two-way street. Clearly, I cannot permit a situation where Conservative rebels can pick and choose the parts of the contract they like, while Liberal Democrat MPs are bound to the entire agreement.
The Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Right Honourable George Osborne, Member of Parliament for Tatton.
The government has sought to keep the British economy safe in the storm while sharpening our competitive edge for the future. And I congratulate the City for taking the same approach. In the last year, while other financial centres in the West have become less competitive, London has actually strengthened its position as #1 in the global index. This coalition government acted swiftly on taking office, set out a credible and steady plan to reduce our country's record deficit, and there is no one in Britain who would like to see stronger growth more than me.
Thanks very much indeed. It's a great honour to make my first ever speech as Shadow Chancellor to this conference. And conference, I'd also like to pay tribute to our leader, to my friend Ed Miliband. The leader who is genuine, principled, honest and fair, a leader who speaks his mind and tells the truth, a leader in whom I believe we can ask the British people to put their trust. When they say we made mistakes in government, they're right. We have to admit them and show we've learned. The 75p pension rise, that was a mistake. So was abolishing the 10p tax rate. We should have adopted tougher controls on migration from Eastern Europe. We didn't spend every pound of public money well. And yes, we didn't regulate the banks toughly enough and stop their gross irresponsibility here in Britain and all around the world.
And I do hereby declare that George Galloway is duly elected.
This, the most sensational result in British by-election history, bar none, represents the Bradford Spring. This is an uprising amongst thousands of people, many of them young people never involved in the political process before, who have demonstrated in this mammoth majority, this mammoth vote, a total rejection of the three major parties on the British political scene.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. I am very pleased to be back in the United Kingdom. I note that you have arranged for typical London weather these past 2 days, and I'm very grateful for that. Since David took office last spring, I believe we've now met or spoken at least 24 times. We may be leaders from different political traditions, but on a whole host of issues we see eye to eye. The relationship between our two countries is one that's not just based on warm sentiment or common history, although those things exist. It's built on shared ideals and shared values. As David said, it is a special relationship and an essential relationship.
You know there's something wrong with the kind of job he's done as president when the best feeling you had was the day you voted for him. President Obama promised to begin to slow the rise of the oceans and to heal the planet. My promise is to help you and your family.
I want to nominate a man who's cool on the outside, but who burns for America on the inside. President Obama started with a much weaker economy than I did. He has laid the foundations for a new, modern, successful economy of shared prosperity. And if you will renew the president's contract, you will feel it. Folks, whether the American people believe what I just said or not may be the whole election. I just want you to know that I believe it. With all my heart, I believe it. I love our country so much, and I know we're coming back. If that is what you want, if that is what you believe, you must vote and you must re-elect President Barack Obama. God bless you, and God bless America.
Und wenn man sich auch mal die Entwicklung anguckt, zum Beispiel der Lohnstückkosten zwischen Deutschland und Frankreich in den letzten 10 Jahren, weil wir ja eigentlich nur das dann machen würden politisch, was die Märkte schon mal fälschlicherweise gemacht haben, und wir hätten wieder keine politische Union. Dann sehen Sie, dass Deutschland am Anfang dieses Jahrtausends oder Jahrhunderts, jeweils nachdem, wie Sie es wollen. Das heißt, wir können, ohne zu übertreiben, sagen, Deutschland gehört zu den Wachstumsmotoren in Europa. Wir haben auch andere Länder, die wachsen. Schweden zum Beispiel wächst stärker, aber als größte Volkswirtschaft kann man sagen, wir sind auch Stabilitätsanker damit. Stärker aufgetan haben.